Tetsuo Kaneda.
Okay, that one was a surprise for me. Welcome to the Mind Your Movies podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm Tetsuo. No,
No, you're
I'm Shane.
Shane.
Oh, sorry. I'm still in Akira mode.
This guy gets lost in the movie a little too much, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Well, this week we are talking.
this is the Mind Your Movies podcast. Did we say that?
I think we said that. Yeah.
Oh well, I said it again.
This guy's still too lost in Akira. Time is nowhere, space is
Yeah,
everywhere, you know.
yeah. I'm in the last 5 minutes of Akira. I'm in like it's like the end of 2001. You don't know what's going on. You've entered a wormhole.
Yeah.
Things have gone
Yeah.
off the rails.
You're that little baby looking down on Earth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've fully left reality.
Yeah, this is the Mind Your Movies podcast. Of course, today we are talking about cult classic movies. We, as is tradition on this podcast, we each pick one. At the end of our half episodes, we'll pick our next thing. So last week we picked our cult classic movies. I picked Lake Mungo from 2008.
I picked Akira from 1988. So the name of the episode is L'Akira Mungo. Pretty good portmanteau. So we're gonna talk about both movies in depth with spoilers. So if you haven't seen them, go check them out. I mean, well, you got to see Akira. Akira is amazing, so you got to watch it. But also, the movie's so confusing that anytime you rewatch it, you're kind of rediscovering it. You're like, oh yeah, that's what was happening, and then you forget about it because the plot's so confusing. But uh, but yeah, check it out. We're gonna talk in full spoilers. Before that, I think Ryan has a couple of recent recommendations for us that we're gonna talk about real quick before we get into the main features of the episode.
Yeah, thanks, Shane. So we've got this section we like to talk about a couple things. So I'm just gonna mention two things here, kind of quick, but something very bad is going to happen. This
You think
is the
the episode's
name.
gonna be that bad? Oh,
No, this is the name of a series. This is. I'm not. If anyone follows us, if this is not your first time here, you might know that I'm not the biggest mini series person. Um, but you know what? I was recommended this kind of a few times, and I just went for it. And I watched the first couple episodes, and then there's 8 episodes. It's on Netflix. I watched the first couple episodes, and I kind of fell out of it. And then maybe a week later, I watched the end, and I watched the end pretty much all in one day. From episode 3 to 8, I like could not turn off. It was insane. It was bizarre. It was baffling. It was everything you want a kind of horror miniseries about the finality of life and decisions and uh, grief and trauma and relationships to be. And it was bonkers. The premise here is that there is a couple and they're going to go to a family cabin in the woods um, of the to be husband. It's like his family's cabin. So they're going there to get married. And the family's a little weird, and the cabin's a little weird, and there's some dogs that are a little weird, and everything is crazy. And actually, nothing ends up being anything that you expect. It's insane. I think my strongest recommendation is to go in with just knowing that much. If that sounds interesting to you, I would say if Mike Flanagan's miniseries on Netflix were like, if you liked those, which I think there's a big following for those, I think this is pretty much right up your alley, probably. So I will also say stick through the first couple episodes. Unfortunately, I think it is one of those. I think this could have been six episodes, probably. I think that would have been a little bit better. But if you stick through the first couple episodes, you're in for a wild ride. You'll need your seatbelt, strap it to the couch, grab some popcorn, and just let loose on like 5 hours of TV all at once.
there you go. All right. Is it
So
called "Things Are Very Bad Thing Is Gonna Happen" or something?
yeah, it's a rough it's a long rough title, but something very bad is going to happen.
Gotcha. All right.
And it's
Uh,
excuse me. It is in part directed by um The person who wrote Love Lies Bleeding, or at least one of the writers on Love Lies Bleeding.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Interesting. Yeah, that's cool. I also it's a little weird that there's fiancés for male and female fiancés because there's husband and wife, but there's no term for
yeah,
husband to be, wife to be. It's just you're both just fiancé.
it is a little weird. Uh, Technically, fiance, the fiance that you use is different, but I don't think that they're pronounced
Oh,
differently.
is there like
But there's an
a
yeah, there's an accent and an extra e. If you're talking about
ah
a a female fiance, I believe is e accent and then e, and then
okay
a male fiance is just fiance.
without all the extra fluff. All
Yeah,
right, well then there is a difference, I guess. It's just said the same way.
I get that doesn't really help.
Yeah, it doesn't help when you're saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you speak French, then it does matter. So
Yeah.
other like in like Mandarin, it's like you could say the same thing but just change the pronunciation and it means something completely different. So
Mm.
English is just maybe it's like a beginner level language. It's not that complicated. I'm a little bit too much of a novice, of a language novice to understand the intricacies.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing. English is actually the like first tier language. You got to get past that to get into pretty much any other language, except for maybe French Canadian.
You Canadian? Yeah, it's not even a language, buddy.
Yeah, but the
It's just
Canadian version of French, it's like the
Canadian
American version.
dialect.
It's like the American version of English. It's like
Right.
the the North
The
American
the new
languages.
and improved.
Yeah, totally.
The perfected version.
Uh, yeah.
Anyway, that's all I had to contribute to that. But what's your other pick?
Second recommendation also has to do with Mike Flanagan. I finally went back and I watched Mike Flanagan's debut after he made a few student films that from what I understand, you can't really find. And I think that like he doesn't really want people to watch them is the thing too. Like
Hmm.
they're not movies, right? They're like student films. But his first debut is called Absentia, and it kind of follows uh a woman who has lost her husband. He's been missing for 7 years, so she's looking for to get a death certificate to move on. In I guess that process is called like in absentia or something, and so
Hmm.
the title. Um, but it turns out the how he went missing is going to be explored a little bit in this movie, and so there is a very bizarre uh, thing in this movie that I was not expecting at all. I don't want to say anything, but I will
Hmm.
say this is a fairly easy to access movie. It's on Tubi and all that stuff. So I would say if anyone's a Mike Flanagan fan, I think this is one that's pretty underseen even by that like fandom. And I would encourage. It's not a great movie. The acting's like pretty rough at times. It's like definitely a first movie thing, amateur movie making thing. But and like some of the shots just feel you like look at it and you're like that is too clean to be in a movie. Like
Hmm.
it just looks like somebody filmed it and then that was it. You know.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I get what you mean. Is
Um
there a term for Mike Flanagan fans? Like
uh
flanatics, maybe?
Flanatics would be pretty good. Flan heads.
Flanheads. I like
uh
flanatics.
yeah, Flanatics is pretty good. The Flaniverse, I think, is what people call like the mini
Ah,
series on Netflix that he has.
okay.
Although now I think is he the one that's making Carrie on Amazon Prime? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think he's making an Exorcist remake.
Oh, okay, okay. There's so much stuff going on lately with remakes and new things coming out. So,
Oh
um,
yeah.
but listen, Mike Flanagan, his miniseries on Netflix, spectacular. And if you like those, I recommend both these things. I recommend you watch Something Very Bad is going to happen, but also this Absentia is like a 90-minute, short, brief, kind of amateurish film, but it's pretty interesting and it's way more like surprise, like way more interesting than I thought it was going to be. There's a lot more unique stuff going on than I expected. It's like a missing person. Okay, interesting. But there was actually some pretty bizarre stuff. So I think it
Nice.
kind of shows some of his early creative mindset, which is cool.
Nice. Cool. The Flanagan. Now that's it for the Flanagan hour. on the podcast.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a new segment. We're gonna have a Flanagan hour every episode.
no, we're not. Imagine that'd be short, a short up. The podcast would flame out very quickly. There's like there's not that much to talk about, Mike Flanagan.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
all right. I mean, is it time to get into the meat and potatoes?
it is. And I think
All
Lakira
right.
Mungo sounds like I think we might be starting with Lake Mungo.
Yeah. Arnar. It's Lake Mungo.
Oh
Well,
no.
this was your pick, so you can talk about it.
This this is the 2008 sort of mockumentary movie or like faux documentary, maybe is a better way to say
Documentary.
it. Yeah, yeah, totally. That is directed by Joel Anderson, and has kind of achieved, it's an Australian movie, and it's kind of achieved a pretty cult status. But it follows, just to set it up real quick, it follows a documentary crew that is interviewing and trying to kind of follow a family as they uh, try to move on and grieve the loss of their daughter who has drowned, or and brother, I guess, who has drowned in a lake. Not
It,
Lake
it
Mungo.
it's really that we're not really following the crew though. It's presented as the final documentary about them sort of looking back on this incident. So
Right.
we don't see the crew, the filmmaking crew at all. It's just presented as a documentary.
Totally. Yeah. Um, and it is it's well, I guess I'll just say that I think, in my opinion, this is maybe the most convincing fake documentary out there. Certainly that I've watched. It's the most compelling. The way that it's made is very compelling in that way.
Yeah, the first like 10, 15 minutes, like just the acting from everyone, it feels very authentic and they feel like real people in a documentary. So I think the performances, especially like from the parents, like they were very good and yeah, it was very convincing. I could see I don't know. I feel like nowadays it's like everyone knows everything about the background of a movie. You can't just like find something random. If you do, it's more like a YouTube clip or like something like that. But maybe back in 2008 and like with Blair Witch, with them pretending that was real, and you could kind of use misinformation to your advantage and make it and trick people into thinking your movie was real, I guess. So I could definitely believe like if this just popped up on you were watching uh, TV in 2009 and this popped up, you'd be like, whoa, what is this? And you might think it's a real documentary.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, like today, obviously, also it takes less than a simple Google search really to know that this is
Yeah.
obviously fake. But I think that is part of why it was pretty underground and yet did achieve such a cult following, is because people would watch it and it was kind of spread like kind of word of mouthy of like, you've got to see this thing. It's so compelling, or it feels like a real documentary, or even at times like, is that like, I don't know if this is real. You got to watch it, right? Like, who knows, right? But I think that's kind of part of why it achieved that cult status, is because of that kind of slow trickle of word of mouth talking about it and stuff that happened. Um, Also, it's
And,
interesting that to add to the cult status, the director has like intentionally never. I think he might have done like an interview or two, but he's really never really talked out about the movie very much at all, and has never really made anything else. He was an executive producer on Late Night with the Devil, working with the Carnes brothers, but he's never made anything. He's never like spoken about it, and so I think that was in a way to guide some of that allure to the movie, but also it certainly adds it. Like, what the hell, dude? Why are you doing anything?
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And our guy, Mike Flanagan, has a review of this movie on Letterboxd. It's like the most popular review on the movie. So Flanagan is a fanatic of Lake Mungo. He loves it.
There we go. This episode is literally, guys. I swear, I love Mike Flanagan, but I don't usually talk about him this much.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Akira later. We won't talk about Mike
Yeah.
Flanagan. So stick around. But yeah,
um,
this yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is my first time seeing the movie. Uh I don't know. Eh, it was pretty convincing, but then also it's only 87 minutes, but it was quite it dragged on at times, I felt like, and I fell asleep halfway through the movie. Yeah,
Oh no, did
I
you
fell
really?
asleep. Yep, yep. I was nodding off. I had to pause the movie, take a nap, and come back.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that's I mean, and that's fine. You can I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, it was. I believe it was about. I forget exact. Oh, it was right before we find out that this kid faked the photographs, which is maybe the most insanely like underexplored aspect of this. Like if my daughter drowned in a lake and then my son faked her being a ghost, I think I'd like potentially drown him in the lake.
Oh
Like
my God.
what an insane thing to do. That's completely insane. Like then the movie's just kind of like, oh well, this kid's kind of weird, and then, well, let's just move on. I'm like, that is the most insane thing I've ever heard of. This is not real, but like if a real human did that, it'd be like, what's wrong with you? You're you genuinely got something wrong with you. And they kind of just breeze right past it. So I found that kind of strange. But yeah, it was right before I found that out. Because then I remember I came back. I was like, all right, let's watch the second half of this movie. I hit play, and like 10 seconds in, they were like, oh yeah, I faked these or whatever. I set up the TV behind the mirror or whatever, and I was like, what? So anyway, yeah, that was approximately where I fell asleep, and yeah, it was just a little bit. I don't know. It
Yeah,
was
it's
just
I mean
tough.
it is very, I would say it's pretty deliberately paced, right? Like it's not a movie where you got like something going on every 10 seconds. You know, you don't got, also there's really no jump scares. There's like maybe one jump scare. There's one
Yeah, there's one
intentional
dumb jump
scare, I would
scare.
say. Yeah.
The
Well,
one they're at the they're
yeah.
at the isn't aren't they at the lake and she's like they see her and she like zooms at the camera kind of a thing.
Yeah, she sees herself dead after drowning.
Oh, right, right,
Um
right.
so but yeah, so that's not until a while later. But yeah, so there's really like, I do understand, like it is a pretty, it's like I would say it's a pretty slow movie in some ways, right? Like it
Yeah.
is I think paced in a way that it's not trying to like accelerate stuff, and it's not trying to like make you jump out of your seat all the time.
Yeah.
We're not watching, you know,
And,
actually shame to hate this. We're not watching Paranormal Activity.
oh gosh, Paranormal Activity. Well, this was definitely better than Paranormal Activity, I'll tell you that much.
Hey, I'll take that. That's good.
Those, yeah. But I think part of the reason I it was hard for me to get like locked into the movie is that it's all retrospective. So it's all of them recounting things that have happened, and none of it is happening now. So like even with the kid like making that up, you don't see like a confrontation of like the dad being like, "What's wrong with you?" or something like that. 'Cause they're like, "Well, this was years ago. We're kind of over it now." You know what I mean? Like maybe I think that is a factor in why I was just not as
Mm,
hooked by it.
yeah. Yeah, interesting. I mean, I think that feels pretty like authentic to the documentarian style though, right? Like
Yeah.
I yeah, and so I wonder, um you know, is did you like, do you think that knowing that it was fiction impacted that, or do you think even if you were watching a documentary and it was like this, you would have been like, man,
I
like I'm
think
tired, you know?
so. This is funny that we are watching this now because I've never been a true crime guy, but recently the YouTube algorithm has been trying to feed me some true crime things, and so I've watched a little bit, and then you click on one, and now you're stuck. You're getting recommended more and more, and you're in the cobweb
You're
of
in.
yeah, you're in the algorithm, and they keep popping up. So I have seen a little bit of true crime recently on YouTube, and if I thought this was a real thing. I probably would have like hit the like 10-second fast forward button on YouTube a couple times. You know what I mean? Just a little bit like let's get to the main points here. Which is not how I treated the movie. I didn't do that. I did that. What did I do that to? Paranormal Activity 3, I think. I put it
Well,
on
yeah.
1.5 times speed and it was much
Yeah.
better. It was much better that way. Uh, I think it was number 2. I think it was Paranormal Activity 2 because then she went down the stairs. It was very funny. Uh, but yeah, I didn't do that to this movie. I was respectful. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. But yeah,
Yeah, no, that was it. Yeah, I was just curious because I think, I think that sometimes like I would say that watching documentaries is a very different experience than watching, a fiction film where like you you kind of have to go in, I think, expecting it to be a bit slower, maybe like, you know, yeah, like you're not really going to be seeing, certainly compared to like if you're watching like Friday the 13th or something, right? Like
yeah, or like The
um
Conjuring or something.
yeah, totally, right? A very, very different movie. And so I think that almost like I just wonder if today, if that plays an impact on some people where like since you're going into this knowing that it is fiction, you kind of go in maybe like, you've got your popcorn ready, you're at the edge of your seat, and then you realize you kind of have to sit back a bit, and it's actually not an edge of your seat thing, right? Like you
Yeah,
might have. So I do think that maybe like expectations today just around this movie um maybe play a role where like one, I think the movie is pretty highly praised in terms of uh where it sits in like that classic range or realm, but also with it like everyone knows that it's not a documentary today, and so like I think that going into that
yeah.
you kind of have a much different perspective than, I mean, certainly I didn't
It,
watch this thinking it was a documentary my first time, but back in 2008, 2009, right, maybe.
yeah, and this is like a talking head documentary, like which is
Right.
not necessarily the most interesting style of documentary for me personally. It's like it is in a way impressive that they replicated a it almost feels like it could be like nowadays it would be on YouTube in a way, but almost like a 60 minutes piece.
Yeah.
And it's kind of impressive that they've replicated it, but also it's like I don't watch 60 minutes and it's a little bit dry. And that's kind
Mm,
of the style that they've chosen to tell the story. Yeah, it was just kind of hard for me to connect to it, I guess. Yeah.
interesting. So did you find any of the ghost like the faces, the ghost aspects?
Yeah. I
Let's
think there was,
ignoring the Lake Mungo and after stuff for now, but just the build up to that. How'd you feel about some of that stuff going in? Or
yeah, I found the zooming in on the face like very, very, uh, you know, zooming in all the way into this little face in the background and you can't really tell what's going on. That was unnerving and
mm,
creepy. So I think that was pretty well done. I will say by the end of the movie, when they're doing it over and over again, it was a little like overdone. I think at the end, especially literally during the credits when there's like five in a row and they keep doing the same thing. But especially in like the beginning and middle of the movie, I think that was genuinely pretty creepy. So I thought that was
yeah.
probably the most effective like horror aspect of it.
Hmm.
And like there were also a lot of nice like wide shots of the Australian, you know, the
Yeah.
countryside and stuff like that, and like sunset. We're at sunset and having some nice shots like that. So that was keeping me somewhat
Nice.
engaged.
Good. I'm glad that that won you over. Honestly, the B roll in this movie is like it's pretty gorgeous, and they have this like amazing time lapse at one point where you see like lights just the reflecting on the windows of the house and the sky in the background, and it's this like 8-12 hour time lapse or whatever it is that I mean it shows you just how much like they had spent, Joel Anderson and um I'm forgetting the name of the person that he did a lot of work with leading into the movie. I think maybe the production designer, but I forget his name. But um, John John something. John,
John Brawley is the cinematographer.
that's him. There we go. The two of them had went out to like different places near Ararat, which is the town that this is supposed to take place in, and took B-roll for like a year leading up to this. So they got all four seasons. Because there's times in this when it's supposed to be that the documentary crew leaves and comes back later, right? And checks in on them again. And at one point they I don't think they've moved houses, there's like some scenery changes and all this stuff. So they do a really good job at showing you this B-roll that's one, it's just gorgeous. And two, it's I think really effective at showing the passage of time.
Yeah.
Also really cool. A lot of this is filmed on film. So there's moments where it's showing us old footage, obviously, and they've physically degraded a lot of it. But a lot of it's actually shot on film, so there is like a 4K remaster out, and I watched it on 4K. It looks gorgeous, and I don't think that's always true. Like I think that a lot of times people think that like, oh, I can make a found footage movie, I can make a faux documentary or something for super cheap and easy. And it's like, yeah, but if you film it on a digital camera, it's going to look like garbage in the year of our Lord 2026, right? But you film it on
Yeah.
film and we can still watch it in gorgeous 4K, right? So um, that was
Yeah.
just nice watching it. This is actually, I guess, my third time watching it. Um, and definitely nice to see kind of those aspects that just look really nice.
Yeah. 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 That makes sense. It's a pretty good looking movie for sure. Uh, I am so at one point they exhume her corpse that's been
Mm.
buried. Or well, yeah. It's her because they find her body in the lake, and then and is that based on the kid's fake footage?
Yeah.
This is insane that the movie skips right by this. And then this is what's even crazier. He like admits that it's fake, and then they're doing more stuff, and he's filming again. I'm like, that kid would never touch a camera again. Uh, they took your dead sister out of her grave to check if it was her because of your stupid videos. This is insane.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah, and
That's
and the
that's
movie's
bad.
just like it's not remarked upon how completely insane this is.
Yeah, that is interesting. I do think that you're probably right that like it doesn't spend enough time on the I don't want to say repercussions, but I mean I guess right the consequences, the after effect of that, right? Like um there's a few questions they ask the parents after, and there's some, comments of like, yeah, I mean, we just got to move on, right? And yeah, maybe I can see how that wouldn't really do it justice, right? Like that is a you've had your family remove your dead sister's body from the ground, and yeah, I can
You like
see.
now the mom is going to see psychics, you're doing seances. This is insanity, all because you're being some you're I don't know even know why he's doing it.
Well, he's grieving, man.
That's not how you I'm sorry, that's not how you grieve. You don't
I
grieve by making fake ghost videos of your sister. That's I
but
mean, maybe you do, but that's fucked up.
but here's the thing that all three of our main characters we have actually I guess really even um yeah, all three, right? Russell, June, and Matthew, the brother is Matthew. The three of them all have these like kind of nuanced grieving mechanics that are really just like ways to not accept that she's gone, right? Like the dad says he has the most mundane, which is just leaving the porch light on, hoping that she finds her way home or whatever, right? The brother, we don't need to talk more about it, right? uh, not cool. The mom though says at one point that she sneaks into people's houses just to see how they live with with a daughter and like a normal life and stuff like that, right? Because she doesn't
Okay.
feel like she can do that anymore. And so they all have these ways of like even Ray at one point, the psychic says that like I think he's from Hungarian. I think he's from Hungary.
Yeah.
And he says that where he
Oh yeah.
comes from, they block out mirrors so that the dead can't sneak in through them or something like that. And so there's all this motion of like grieving being kind of the struggle of not letting go of the person, right? And so I think that's, exhuming the corpse in a way kind of brings her closer to the family for that brief moment, right? Like, not that that's a good way to bring her closer to you, but maybe, like I wonder, like, why would he not just tell them before they literally take her out of the ground? But maybe like maybe he needed proof that she's gone, right? Maybe he needed to see her again and uh, help him move on.
You probably needed therapy.
I think he did need. I think they all needed therapy for sure, but instead they went to a psychic.
Yeah, instead he like ruined his parents' lives. made his mom insane. But then it turns out like it's real. The she really
Yeah.
the
So
ending of it. I mean, we do have two quite confusing movies here that
yeah,
get
yeah,
a little
totally.
bit weird by the end because then there's sort of she's having visions of her future self, and then there's almost time
Yeah.
travel, supernatural, interdimensional elements going on.
Yeah. And so this movie has so then we get to Lake Mungo and there's this moment where she sees herself. And this is kind of the pinnacle uh moment of the film. I think this is a very memorable moment. I think it is kind of a jump scare, but I think it's a pretty well used one. I think jump scares are like jump scares are like onions, right? It's good in moderation, but if you have too much, you're gonna be crying. No one wants that, right?
I get that. I think they're more like beets because I hate them.
That's fair. Hey,
They
I
taste
do.
like dirt, and I never like them.
That's fair. That's fair. But I think that where this just has really the one, and I think it uses it at this highly emotional and highly kind of symbolic place in the film where she has traveled to this ancient place where the oldest human remains have been found, Lake Mungo, right? And this is when she sees herself, right? There's this like connection with her future dead self here, and that's weird and strange. And as a response to that, she like buries her phone, and this is why they don't have this footage earlier, right? They have to go and they actually unbury the phone in this sort of reverse funeral, like deconstruction, right? Which is uh they've done that now. They exhume the body, now they exhume the phone, right? And yeah, and also there's this moment where they listen to a tape that she had recorded where she says she quotes this dream that she had where she's standing wet at her parents' bed frame or bed what's that called? The edge of the bed, the
The foot of the bed.
foot of the bed. Nice, dude. Genius. And earlier in the film, one of the earliest moments that we hear from June, she explains this dream that she had where um where Alice was uh standing wet at the edge of her bed, the foot of her bed. Um and so they both had the same dream, but like years apart or something. Maybe not years, but uh, certainly time apart. And so there is this aspect of like time not being a one-way continuous thing in this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, because she's with the psychic. Alice is with the psychic before she dies, and is that what you're talking
Right.
about? When
Yes,
she's
yes.
seeing her mom in the future entering her room, and she can see her, but the mom can't see her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, something like I think
That's a
in those tapes, I think she also talks about that dream of uh being, soaking wet like she was swimming in a lake or something and
mm.
walking into her. I forget if that's the same tape or if they have multiple tapes or not
Yeah, I think
of
it's a
those, but
yeah, I don't know if it's the same like from the same time, but there's a point where she's saying like the mom walks into her room and it's empty.
yeah,
But
right, right.
and then you kind of understand that Alice is present, or I guess, and can see her mom
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, but this is happening. This is like a vision she's having before she had died, I think, of this future moment where I guess she's a ghost in the room looking at her mom, I think.
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty confusing. Like that idea of now we've deconstructed the timeline, and now it's like, well, she had this dream here, and the mom had this dream here, right later on.
hmm
Um, yeah, I mean, it's pretty weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you make of all that at the end?
I kind of just threw my hands up and I was like,
Yeah,
well, I don't know
that's
what's going
fair.
on anymore. And I see what you're saying about the exhuming the phone and the body. That's kind of cool, the connection there. I did not put that together. But yeah, I mean the rest of it I was kind of like, I don't know what's going on here. It's not connecting with
Yeah,
me. I'm not getting much out of it. It's just kind of weird and I'm not really
yeah.
connecting with it.
I should say the exhuming thing. This is like that's probably not something I would have picked up on my own either. I should give context here. I've seen this now with um, a commentary from John Browley or whatever, and someone else, and I forget who, but um, at the during the same commentary. I've seen this with a commentary from Chris Stuckman, who made Shelby
Oh,
Oaks.
yeah, yeah.
Kind of fun. And
Did you
also
see Shelby Oaks?
I did. I
Okay,
did.
I didn't. I haven't seen it, but I saw that it's on, I think, Hulu now. So I saw I got kind of mixed reviews. So well,
Yeah, I think I kind of slapped it like pretty much right in the middle. I think it's good. It's okay. It's kind of mixed. I think I like the first half quite a bit better, but I won't get too much into that. I think it's
yeah,
cool that it's on streaming. I think it's pretty short. People can jump into it. But I've also read through the whole essay book that the Blu-ray comes with, and I've watched a 3 hour and like 45 minute documentary called Lake Mungo Revisited. So I'm kind of a Lake Mungo head, and the
Lake Mongolian.
Lake Mongolian. Um, and so I think that there's a lot of interesting symbolism and thematic stuff in the movie that I certainly didn't pick up on the first time, right? I mean, there's the obvious stuff like grief and the inability to let go, and in some ways shame and blame and desire to still be with this person. Like all those things that are connected to losing someone, I think are very obvious. Um, and I think there's also a lot more there that I don't like. I could probably never have noticed myself, even after like 3, 4 watches or something. But I think that, being able to dive deeper into media with those extra outlets can sometimes help us understand stuff a little bit better. But you probably wouldn't want to do that for a movie that you didn't really like, right? Like that's just how it is. But
Yeah,
um,
the thought of rewatching this does not really excite me at all. Kind of sounds like a chore. No offense. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie. It's just I can't get into it. I don't know what it is. I have a personal blockage with found footage horror. Oh, also, it's funny. I don't remember if it was on the podcast last week or not, or if it was, but you mentioned Chronicle as a found footage
yes,
movie that I don't know that I love Chronicle, but I maybe like it more than like Paranormal Activity, that's for sure. And watching Akira, I was like, oh wow, Chronicle like just is found footage Akira. Like the
yeah,
story. I mean, it's a way simplified, obviously, but the idea of this kid getting these insane powers
yeah,
and then turning into basically a supervillain, like kind of the basic idea of Chronicle.
yeah, totally. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. Like one of the reasons I picked this, I was between a couple things, and I picked this one partly because I was like, you know what? I know Shane isn't very big on found footage, but this is such a stable camera. Like, there is a lot of like home video stuff, but I think they also sidetrack. I think they do really good, by the way, with the home video, but we can get to that in a second. But I was hoping that maybe since this was a little bit more stationary, a little bit more in some ways, I
It,
think a little bit more grounded in reality than many of them, right? Like there's not like a ghost pulling your leg off the bed or something, right? But
yeah.
so I was hoping that maybe I could get you with this one. Um, darn.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if I'm ever gonna get there with the found footage horror
Yeah.
movies. Might just not be for me. Uh, yeah, I don't know. By the end, I'm like, all right, there's just these ghost stuff is
Mm.
happening, and that didn't really interest me. Um, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't
One.
get past the brother.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think I can see what you're saying. I think that is rough. I think the reality here is that like grief, especially the way it's portrayed here, is really messy, right? And
Right.
like you said, everyone here needed therapy. Like nobody got therapy. That's the problem.
Yeah, yeah. But there, she's really a ghost in the movie, right? Or no? Is that up to interpretation?
I think maybe it's up to interpretation. I thought maybe the first time I watched it that it was a little ambiguous, but I think now I've kind of settled on the fact that she's definitely a ghost. Um,
Hmm.
I think I think that I can still hear arguments maybe, but I think that it seems very compelling. The fact that also like you see those photos at the end where it does the zoom in thing. But you're seeing the spots where like she's like the guy did not doctor these, right? Like in
And
one of them
the
you see the doctored her, and then you actually see the real ghost her in the corner, right? And so
hmm.
yeah.
But then like uh the the footage on her phone,
Yeah.
it's like that is presented as real footage, and there's really no other explanation for it, I guess, other than her being a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And so I don't know. I think the yeah, like I think it's harder now for me to make the argument, but I think the first time I watched it, I was like, hey, maybe that's ambiguous. But also like I feel like the first time I watched it, I probably just did not take everything in. You know,
Yeah,
um I think in reality it's probably not very ambiguous. I do like the way there's that symmetry of at the beginning. At the very beginning of the movie, you have this series of like old spirit photos where it like these old photos that people would take where like there'd be like an orb or sometimes like someone moves and so there's like that really old not
it's like
time
Blur.
lapse, yeah, blurred feature, right?
Yeah.
And people would be like ghosts, right, all the
Hmm.
time. And but that's there's symmetry with that, and at the very end of the movie it shows a series of photographs of the family at different times that I think we've already seen all these photos during the movie. But now they actually have that it can zoom in and it shows you that Alice has been here the whole time with them, like truly, right? One of them is even the family actually packed up outside when they're moving, right? And that's the very end of the movie is they're moving houses, they're leaving to try to start new, and Alice is inside behind a window, like she's
Right.
staying.
Which
Um,
I think is the room that the mom goes into, or like a little earlier before it's empty. She's also in the house when it's empty. Like
mhm.
she's like her last time in the house. But that's like her bedroom, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. So I think that like that again, I think like that to me, I think that the movie is just really well made in some of the ways that it like uses symmetry and uses like also these cool techniques of that zoom in. Also, it's interesting in one of the it was either in the long documentary or one of the uh commentaries that they talk about how it must have been the commentary, but they talk about how they actually those photos at the end particularly, and I think other times too, they actually added Alice. So if you go back and you pause, like you can't zoom in and find her, right? But when they show it to you, you're that way it is truly like, wow, you can't believe your eyes. You're like, how did I miss that? It's like, well, because
Oh,
it wasn't
interesting.
there, right? Um, which I think is interesting, both
Cheap.
a little cheap maybe, but also I think at a time when like I don't know, I think like I think that feels cheap today, but I think I don't know, I think it also is effective, right? The first time, not knowing that too, right? I think it is maybe more effective, but yeah, it was funny knowing that this time after having heard that in the commentary last time, and I was like, I know what you're doing. I know all
Yeah.
your tricks. You told me.
Yeah. I yeah, I don't know what it is with the found footage and stuff like this. I think there's something where they're trying to make it seem like a real documentary. And then just the fact that I know that it's not, it's almost in like an uncanny valley for me. Like
Mm,
when I'm watching a movie, I'm like, well, yeah, there's a camera there. There's people right outside the frame. There's probably, people. There's a guy holding the boom mic. There's a guy, probably, you know, drinking a coffee. There's a water bottle on the set of Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? Like it's right outside the frame, but you're able to get, like, I'm at least able to get sucked into it and like not worry about all that. But when there's so much attention on the camera and it's supposed to feel real. The characters are really supposed to be filming. Like it's like all I can think about, and or something. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's part of the reason that I have. I'm just trying to figure it out because I'm like, this is just the genre that I cannot connect with at all.
yeah. Yeah, that's I don't know. It's interesting. I think
So
it's funny
so
because to
then
me, I'm like on the other end of the spectrum where like I connect really, really well, I think, with found more so than many other formats of movies because it feels so one, it feels rather authentic, but two, it almost puts you in this voyeuristic or kind of literal POV of characters, right? And so not only are like you watching a film happen, but you're actually like you're in it, right? Like Blair Witch, you're running through those fucking woods with them, you know?
Mm,
At least that's
I
that's
get,
how I feel when I'm watching
I get. It doesn't. It actually like maybe feels less voyeuristic to me because the camera is like the ultimate. It could be anywhere. It can float through anything. It can float through walls. It can, it's not
it.
limited by any bounds. It's almost a spiritual being that could float around. And I mean, you can try to figure out, oh, how'd they do that? They had it on a dolly and a crane or whatever the case is. The walls aren't really walls, but it's just a trick. So that's why you go
Mm-hmm.
through a wall,
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. But it when you're experiencing it, it has that. But then when with this, I'm like, well, this character's filming this, and I'm like, well, why is he's pointing the camera really, really specifically? Like, why didn't the camera just fall flat on its like the lens could have been
Mm.
facing the ground, but it's like perfectly framed or just little things like that. And it's like, yeah. So I don't know. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
Just doesn't
interesting.
not for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
That
I
I mean,
think a lot of the other elements of movies that I enjoy, like nice cinematography, like it's almost antithetical to found footage. You can't really do it. The only time that they did it was in like Paranormal Activity 6, I think it was, where they are making a documentary in the thing. So they have like drones and stuff, and they have like better cameras because they're
but this
filmmakers.
like Mungo.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That one was more of a found footage
Yeah.
style, not in the fake documentary style like this. That was also a bad movie, like worse than Lake
Yeah.
Mungo. But I'm just trying to think of like most found footage
Right.
movies to feel more authentic, they are kind of crappy looking. But that doesn't really apply to Lake Mungo, which is a fair point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like it's interesting because we've watched a lot of found footage lately on the podcast, you know.
Yeah, we have. You don't got to tell me twice.
Which is why next week I'm picking no.
Oh boy.
But 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 it is interesting because this movie, I feel like, and part of the reason I picked it again is because I think it really does in many ways feel very different to me from most found footage. Like this doesn't really feel like you're watching Blair Witch, right? Or Paranormal Activity. It it feels to me like you're watching almost an entirely different genre or style of movie filmmaking in general than even just fiction, right? It feels like you're watching um, a
Yeah.
documentary, which still, I mean, has its own problems, right? Documentaries, especially like you said, talking head documentaries are not always the most interesting, right? But I think it is nice that you get the chain, like you get a little bit of it with the cell phone footage and the home video footage, but you're not really getting much like shaky cam. You're not really getting much like you said, like the camera falls over and it's like perfect
Yeah, yeah.
view, right? Um,
Yeah,
but
that's fair. That's fair. This is different. It's interesting because it's like is found. It's not really found footage, but I don't know what it is.
I think it's a faux documentary, you know?
I guess because mockumentary. I think. I mean, mock. It's like a.
Yeah,
It's more of a
right.
comedic thing usually. It's like a horror. I guess you could call it a horror mockumentary.
You could, yeah. I think faux documentary is like I think it's referred to that sometimes
Okay.
in
All
stuff
right.
I was reading,
Sure.
but
That
um
it just doesn't roll off the tongue. Faux documentary.
documentary. Well,
I guess
fuck.
it's a documentary. That's all right. It's a documentary. Yeah.
um yeah, I here's an interesting thing. Uh I think this movie is definitely influenced by Twin Peaks.
Yes. Yeah.
Of
Definitely.
course.
She's Alice Palmer.
Yes,
Pamela
right.
Palmer. Yeah.
So you've got Palmer, obviously the girl is drowned. You get all sorts of weird like sex related things popping up, and at one point someone says, "Did I write it down? I didn't write it down." But at one point someone says Alice kept secrets. Even the fact that she
Oh
kept
yeah.
secrets was a secret, right? And so, and there's this whole exploration of all these secrets, and really, and this whole period of the movie, right? It's always there's this whole section where the family is trying so hard to just explain, right? They're not willing to accept that Alice is gone. So the more that they refuse to accept it, the more they fall into this trap of just looking for possibilities. And the more possibilities they find, right? Like maybe they can find her in the reflection of the bowl that's actually the kid doing that, right? Or whatever. Or maybe they can blame the neighbor who had some creepy, weird sex thing with her, right? Or maybe they can blame, they want to keep asserting blame and guilt, and they want to have some explanation, but there really isn't any, right? And it's not until they move that they can actually have, some sort of uh
They're able to move on.
right, some sort of not closure really, but yeah.
Yeah. I that makes sense. I did forget we have not mentioned that the weird sex relationship. She's 16. She's been babysitting the neighbors' kids for like 2.5 years, and then I don't know how old she is. I don't know what the age of consent is in Australia. Either way, too young. And this is another situation where I'm like, what? There's no repercussions of this. I mean, I guess they moved away 6 months later. Nothing happened. There's no confrontation. There's no, like, this is another situation where I'm like, this is insane. Like, if you're like that, something has to happen, and then like nothing happens. The dad doesn't do anything. The mom doesn't do it. No one does anything. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's one where genuinely put the guy in the lake. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what? That's
Yeah.
insane. If your neighbor is basically statutorily rapes your daughter, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna, all right, let's just, we're not gonna do anything about it. Nothing's gonna happen. What?
Yeah. They do say they can't find him and stuff. And I know that's not a very
Well, they moved. Oh, right.
satisfying solution, but
Oh no, you're right. You're right. You're right. Because I think they move away before they find the footage and know about that.
yeah.
So they move
Yeah.
away after she dies, but before the parents find out about it.
Right.
All right. You know what? My anything I just said was wrong. It is explained in the movie. Never mind.
Yeah. And there is actually a scene where like the parents are both talking and they're like, yeah, I mean, I would kill the guy, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so, but like, yeah, I mean, I do get that it's also not fully satisfying to be like, well, there's no action because it's gone, right? They
Yeah.
killed it.
It doesn't even have to be like action necessarily, but just like
Right. No, I know.
it's just another element of the way the movie's made of it all being reflected on things that have happened in the past. Like nothing happens immediate. There's no immediacy to it, I guess, is part of the
Yeah.
reason maybe I was bored and fell asleep.
Although maybe, and this doesn't help the fact that you got bored from it, but maybe the fact that everything is stuck in the past, it's all reflective and retrospective. I mean, the family is stuck in the past, right? They're not willing
Yeah.
to move forward, right? And I think that while that is still not fully satisfying if you're falling asleep during the movie, unfortunately, but I think that is maybe again, I think there's actually a lot of layers to the symbolism and thematic filmmaking techniques that were used. Um, so much so that like it is crazy that Joel Anderson didn't make anything else. Like he clearly had a knack for putting together all of these sort of seemingly incongruent things, like this weird sex thing, the kid breaking into the house to steal that tape or something. Not the kid, the neighbor.
Right. That
The
he's the guy, the moving figure in the video. Yeah.
right, the kid making stuff. Right, the ghost at the actual Lake Mungo. All this stuff. The fact that he can put all this together in like this weird thematic thing where it does portray this the level at which the family is unable to accept reality. Um, I think it's just a shame that he hasn't made anything else. But that's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm open to the idea that this is a good movie and I just was unable to connect to it. And maybe if I'd watch it at a different time in my life and I'd find it to be profound. And that's possible. But for this time, I it didn't connect with me.
That's okay. Hey, you know what? That's okay.
I
The
gave it a shot.
I'm glad that you gave it a shot. I look
I
forward.
had to. I was forced to give it a shot.
I look forward to you know what? Wreck was one you liked.
I did like Wreck. That's got to be my favorite found footage horror movie.
Excellent. I'm glad. So anyways, I will say, yeah, again, I'm not picking these to try to fuck with Shane, just so everyone knows.
Oh man,
Um,
feels like it.
I mean, listen, we had to we were gonna cover Frogman eventually,
Yeah, I
it
guess
just
so.
had to.
Uh,
And Lake Mungo really has become Lake Mungo is pretty high up there in my one of my all-timers at this point, to be honest. So
nice. That's cool. I will say I've there's this movie Maniac from 2012 with Elijah Wood. I believe that I don't know if it's found footage. There might be parts that are found footage. I don't think
it's
it's
it
all found footage.
yeah, it has some like uh in situ camera work. I don't know, whatever the fuck you want to call it,
Yeah,
right?
but they're like
Cam
point of view
Yeah,
shots from
right.
the like killers. He's like filming whatever's going on, but it's not all found footage, right?
No, I
Okay.
don't think
So
so.
that
I mean,
doesn't even
it's been a while.
that doesn't even count. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I saw that movie like I think in college and just thought the one time, and I remember thinking it was a good movie, but yeah,
Might be more along the lines of something like Peeping Tom, kind of, where
yeah,
you've got, but yeah, so I don't know, whatever. Um,
right, yeah. Peeping Tom is not found footage, and
right,
then there's other stuff, other found footage, like The Dirties is a very good movie, but that's not really a horror movie.
right. Or Operation Avalanche.
Yep, great movie, not a horror movie.
Yeah.
Man
Yeah, so I
Bites
mean,
Dog.
I do think maybe that intersection for you of this format of filmmaking and the genre of horror maybe
Yeah,
is just not it.
yeah. It just like the jump scare. We got all right. We're found footage, and we've got like a ghost like jumping at us and a loud noise. Immediately, I'm rolling my eyes. That's just how I'm reacting to it. Like I just find it to be a trope, and I just kind of find it annoying and cheap. So like, even though it maybe has some resonance in the story, I was kind of like, oh, like,
Yeah.
eh. So yeah,
I think yeah, that's fair. It's funny because I think for me, that moment in this movie, um, uh, like honestly, it gives me goosebumps. I I would say I'm not
I,
particular like I'm not scared of it. It doesn't like I'm not like sitting there shit in my pants, but I am a little bit like I think partly because knowing that it's her seeing herself and her kind of bringing it back also to another Mike Flanagan thing with the Life of Chuck, right? Seeing the uh what might be the end, right? And how do you cope with knowing that you're gonna die, right? Like how do you cope with
I'll
it?
tell you what. If I knew I was going to drown, I wouldn't go in a lake.
There you go.
Sorry,
You heard
sorry
it
to
here
undercut your
first.
point. You had that was a good point. I like your point. And I will say the makeup was actually very well done. Like when you see
Yeah,
her dead body, like it looked really realistic and creepy. So yeah, that and like the footage, the like grainy footage and the grainy
yeah,
footage and like the his fake videos or whatever. It's pretty creepy. It is a pretty creepy movie.
yeah. Like there's definitely this might be the movie that's given me the most goosebumps, like just through
Mm.
one sitting because it's not like I ever get like I'm not like scared in the moment of like, oh, that was terrifying, right? Like something like uh I don't even know, right? I could look, but whatever. Like something that would actually like legitimately terrify you. It's not really like that. But it certainly it creeps you out in this way that like like you're just unnerved. You feel sort of just off. You don't feel right. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that moment particularly really hits. I think the makeup looks good. It feels very authentic in the cell phone footage. It also yeah, I guess like I said, just that idea, like thinking in her mindset, right? And we're in that phone, right? We're essentially her in that moment, and we're thinking like, shit, I'm that thing ain't alive, and that's definitely me, right? And that is a fucking crazy feeling, right? Um, and the fact that you get it on, like, you're not just seeing it, right? You have it on film, you have like proof of it. So what do? You get rid of that, right? You bury that shit. You don't want to see that ever again. You want to just move on and pretend like that's never gonna like, I like that is like I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about the idea of knowing that you're gonna die. Anyways, I'm getting a little too excitable here.
No, hey, good. I'm glad you love it so much.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad you can be the resident Lake Mongonian for the
That's
podcast.
right. That's right. Um, but I mean, also to maybe close off, right? I don't know if you have too much more about Lake Mungo, but
Nope.
to maybe close off with Lake Mungo, I think it is really an interesting um cult classic piece in the sense that people went back and like made a 3 hour and 45 minute documentary about this thing, right? And it's influenced so many filmmakers in that documentary. You have people like Mike Flanagan and the Carnes brothers doing interviews and talking about how it's impacted them and their filmmaking processes, and Chris Stuckman doing a whole commentary on the movie, right? And so it's interesting that it's found this kind of home as this classic, certainly in a niche, right, in the horror community for sure, but it's sort of reached out, and it really does touch so many things in the found footage, not sorry, not the found footage, in the horror realm in general, right? Like you look at so many new horror movies, whether it's from Mike Flanagan or Shelby Oaks or Late Night with the Devil, and this movie certainly has its grippers in there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely influential in the genre, and definitely has kind of a cult following. So I think it's a fair pick for cult classic episode. All
All
right,
right, should we do our ratings real
my
quick?
yeah. Why don't you go first?
I don't like that. I gave this movie 5 stars.
Nice,
Again.
that's good. I
Shane.
I gave it 2.5 stars.
All right, two and a
I
half.
I gave it 2.5. I didn't want to, it just not for me.
This does put this up there with our most contentious, perhaps, movies of all
Yes,
time.
I think
Um,
I think
it
Frogman is the only more bigger difference in rating.
Yeah, Frogman's the only bigger one. Ironically, another Mike Flanagan, The Life of Chuck, is tied with this
Yeah,
um as part of our greatest differences. Um, Rating recap here, real quick. It's got a 3.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which is not as high as I would have expected, honestly, considering the cult status, but we'll take it. It's
seems a
got
little high to me.
90. It's got a 96% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 62% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and exactly a 6.2 on IMDb as well. So
Mm.
its rating recap here comes in a lot lower than I expected at 7.15 out of 10. I really did quite expect um, a bit higher in some of those categories. I'm glad to see the critic score is so high, but yeah, just
Yeah, interesting that it's more of a critical darling than anything else. But yeah, I definitely see this movie not working for a lot of people who are looking for, even like horror fans who like slashers or ghost movies. Like it's definitely slow and a little unconventional.
yeah, and like to that point too, like yeah, if you liked The Conjuring, or even if you liked Paranormal Activity, right, a found footage, like many times that's a Steadicam movie, right? That feels like maybe a good analog to this movie on the surface, because it's like it's got a lot of Steadicam, it's got the ghost crap happening, right? It's following these people, right, and all that stuff, just like one family unit, right? But yeah, it's a very different movie than those. And so I think you're right. Like maybe people just go in with the expectation of like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna be scared out of my mind, you know?
right. There's only the one jump scare, and then also like it's pretty slow and it's also pretty bleak. And I
Mm,
feel like Paranormal Activity and The Conjuring and some horror movies can be more of a thrill ride, roller coaster type experience. And this one's not like that. This one's pretty bleak and more of it's a different vibe.
yeah,
So I could see some audiences not responding to that. All
totally.
right. Anything else
Time
about
for the
Lake
second
Mungo?
part. No, no, let's
Yeah.
move on.
Time for, oh man, Akira. What? All right. So yeah, if anyone hasn't seen Akira, go watch Akira. Uh, I picked Akira. It is a cult classic. I feel like it's almost transcended cult classic status. Akira, the movie came out in 1988 based on the manga by Katsuhiro Otomo. And I think that's how you say his name. Uh, and yeah, I believe the movie came out before the manga had finished. So the ending of the movie and the ending of the manga are slightly different, although I haven't read the manga. But yeah, it's a classic, one of the most influential anime movies of all time, one of the most influential cyberpunk movies of all time, animated movies of all time. I love Akira. This is one of the most incredible animated movies I think I've ever seen. The detail, the color. I watched it on the 4K Blu-ray. I watched it in Japanese with subtitles. I don't know if you did as well. Um,
Yeah. So yeah, and so this is my first time watching it. I did watch it in Japanese with English subtitles, but I also had a weird experience watching this.
oh boy.
I don't know. Maybe I could just say that now. Actually, yeah, just because
Yeah,
it's
go.
good context to have. So I got a free trial on Crunchyroll, um,
Mm.
and I watched about half of it on Crunchyroll, and I had paused it to go do something, and while I was up, I was like, while I'm thinking of it, I'm gonna cancel my Crunchyroll because I don't want to. Because I didn't want to like forget and pay for it. And usually with these, it's like, yeah, you'll have access until the end of your trial and whatever. And then I sit back down and I
Oh
tried
man.
to I tried to press play and it said that didn't work. And so I was like, okay, try again. And then it said that didn't work. And then so I ended up going back and it was like the screen essentially said, fuck you, give us money. You're a
You
fucking
canceled it,
scumbag.
buddy.
And so yeah, no, I understand that this was my fault, but usually I expect to have the access until the end of I signed up for the free trial. You said 7 days. You gave me 30 minutes,
Well,
like
yeah,
or
and
an
you
hour.
canceled it. Yeah.
But
They didn't cancel it on you. You hit the cancel button.
yes, and so this was my mistake here, and I understand. I was pretty bummed that I did that, and um uh so yeah, so pro tip: do not cancel a Crunchyroll subscription while you're watching something.
Yeah, wait till the sixth day and then cancel it.
Yes. But you know what? I was just like, you know what? I know that I'm going to forget and I'm going to get charged and I'm going to be pissed. You
But
know
you
why?
don't
Because
have, do you
I'm
have a
never,
planner? Do you have a thing on your phone, a
yeah,
calendar, anything?
I do. But you know what?
Put
If
it
I
in
had
there.
forgotten, if I missed it, I didn't want that to happen. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't really think I was going to be watching too much stuff on Crunchyroll this week. So I was like, I'm just going to do it now. I'm just going to cancel it. I had a busy weekend it's just Mother's Day and stuff.
Hmm,
And so I was like, I'm just going to cancel it so that I don't forget. There's nothing goes
that is
wrong.
fair. Was this today?
No. This was last week, end of
Oh, it
last
was
week,
last week. Oh,
or
okay.
this was maybe
Like
I don't know.
Thursday or
It was
Friday. Yeah,
Thursday
yeah.
or Friday or something.
Yeah.
And oh, it must have been Thursday because my my sibling flew in on Friday. So,
Oh,
but
nice.
so anyway, so yeah, so I was like, I have a busy weekend. I've company, I have family over. I've got Mother's Day, and I was like, I'm just gonna cancel it. And I'll tell you what, I'm never canceling something while I'm watching something ever again, even if it's unrelated. If it's like,
Uh,
I don't want to cancel HBO if I'm on Netflix. Like that's not happening anymore. But
yeah.
so I ended up watching the rest of it on let's just say I went sailing a little bit
Oh,
and
goodness gracious.
so I watched a much lower quality version to for the second half. It was still pretty. I mean, I'll say it. I'm not going to say that this like dampened my view of it very much.
Uh,
But um, it was actually also really. I thought it was kind of fun to watch what I assume is a VHS rip or VHS. I found a totally legit VHS copy of this and put it in my totally legit VHS player that I have.
yeah.
And but anyways, so I assume that I actually the second half I think I had like maybe UK subtitles or something. Um, but
Or they saying, "Oi, governor, I'm turning into a monster, mate."
yeah,
Is that what it said?
yeah, it's exactly that. And so I had a slightly different experience in the first half than the second, but it totally my fault. But I'll say I started that second half a little annoyed, but I ended up well. I'll tell you where I ended up later on, but pretty much that second half when I was like, all right, I guess I'm not watching this on Crunchyroll. Like, what the fuck?
I respectfully, that is insane. I've never heard. Yeah, yeah. It's all right. You know what?
You live and
That's
learn.
you live and learn. You know what? You live and you learn. All right. Well, there you go. That's how you watched Akira. I just watched the 4K. Had a great time. No problems, no issues. looked fantastic. But yeah, so how far in did you get on Crunchyroll?
So Tetsuo had just returned to the bar,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, so I was,
You're
I mean, I watched,
pretty deep in.
yeah, I watched a good amount of it.
That's like probably an hour in, or maybe a little
Yeah,
more. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, I was watching, and I wanted to make some popcorn, and I had to pause the thing because I'm not gonna go make popcorn with this loud ass machine and come back and miss 2 minutes or 3 minutes or something. So I paused it, and then I was up and I brought my phone with me. Big mistake. Never bring your phone anywhere. But I did, and I opened it up and I saw my, congratulations for making your account. Like it sent me like 4 emails in that hour, and so I was like, you know what? Before I forget, I'm just gonna do this. And
Genius. Yeah, really playing 4D chess there. Uh, all right, cool. Well, I don't know where to go from here. I guess we just talk about the movie. I'm a
yeah,
little flabbergasted.
I know we both
Um,
had weird experiences.
we
Mine
did.
was
I just fell
worse.
asleep.
Mine
I
was
will say
worse.
also, I was watching in the afternoon and I just closed the blind. It wasn't even nighttime. It wasn't even late. Yeah.
Oh
And I
man,
think I slept fine the night before. I don't think I was tired before I started the movie.
man. This guy
Yeah.
just learned what melatonin is. It's Lake
It's
Mungo.
Lake Mungo. Yeah, Lake Melatonin.
Uh,
But yeah, Akira. I love this movie. I think this is just one of my favorite animated movies. Love it. Just the beginning too, with the nuclear blast, World War III, and now I just love the design of the city and everything. The animation is incredible. Um, yeah, I it just gets better. It's like also very rewatchable. Like it's
I
2 hours
believe
long,
that
and
for sure.
yeah, it's 2 hours long, and I think it does feel a little bit long. There's a lot going on. It's very confusing and quite convoluted. There's a lot of characters, and but I feel like it's so detailed, both in like the visuals and in the story, that it rewards repeated viewing, which could be part of the reason that it like gained a cult following and was part of the reason like anime got popularized internationally. But yeah, this definitely rewards rewatches, I think.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think for me, the visuals were awesome. The fact that the city also like there's like the living spaces above the cityscape, right? Like on the tops of the towers, you have people walking around, and it's just like they're in the city on the top of the city, which is cool.
Yeah.
Um, the yeah, I think all that stuff was really neat, and I can definitely see how this rewards rewatches. Partly because I have no idea what happened after a certain point in the movie, and it was cool, but I I'm confused, and I can imagine that rewatching it, maybe I'm not going to fully understand it, but I might understand a little bit more, or I might even just get more out of the visuals and stuff like that again, right? Because
Yeah.
I also, what I will say, at some point in this, I was kind of like, um, I almost always, I think, will watch something in its native language and with subtitles. But during this was one of those times where I actually was like, I kind of maybe wish I just was watching the dub so that I could just enjoy the visuals a little bit more, because I found myself, I'm a slow reader, right? So found myself reading a lot. And there's times when there's also a lot going on in dialogue and a lot going on the screen all at the same time. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so I can see
Yeah.
why, yeah, repeat viewings on this certainly I can imagine helping a lot.
Yeah. I've actually only watched the Japanese with subtitles, so I don't know how the dub is. I know there's two different ones. There's the original like 1988 dub, and then there's a 2001 dub, which is apparently supposed to be a little bit better and more accurate to the Japanese. But I think some people like the 88 for nostalgia and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely could see this one benefiting from watching the dub and being able to focus on the visuals rather than having to read the subtitles.
And especially so, like, and also towards the end, I know I don't want to jump right to the end, but I will just say
Hmm.
there was some stuff going on where I was like, I was trying to read, and then I was like, did I just miss something important, or did what did did some like did this just happen all of a sudden? And so there's definitely
Hmm.
some moments, particularly towards the end, where I was like, I I don't know if I missed something. I like to think
Yeah.
that my peripheral would have told me a little bit of something big happening there, and all of a sudden here we are. But yeah. Anyways, so yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I get that. And it's quite confusing what's going on because Akira, what is Akira? And then with Tetsuo's transformation and all this crazy stuff that happens at the end. It's pretty it's a lot of it, especially at the end, is very visual and they don't fully explain it all that much. Um, but yeah. Uh I guess should we get start at the beginning and just talk about the initial like bike chase fight sequence?
Sure. Yeah, I did not expect that.
No. What did you expect?
I have no idea. I've really, honestly, maybe this is bad, but the thing that comes to mind when I think of Akira is actually the giant white ball at the end.
Mm,
Ball, the giant white
explosion.
explosion, kind of the
What
sort
at the
of black
beginning?
hole, white hole thing. No, no, no. At the end, the white hole that is
Yeah.
taking, yeah.
But there's also the image of the nuclear blast from 1988 at the very beginning of the movie, and I think it says Akira, the
Um,
title, like over that. That could be also be.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, look at that. There's the symmetry here, just like in like Mungo. You got the thing at the beginning, the thing at the end. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I
exactly.
mean, it could be either of those, but that's really like. So I was expecting maybe a little bit more, um, like I don't know. I guess I was expecting more immediate nuclear tension stuff going on. I didn't realize this was like
Hmm.
a sort of a Mad Maxian situation in some ways. Not like I guess the city's actually totally cool, but like yeah, there's just like biker gangs. I didn't think that was going to be happening.
Interesting, because I think the bike is kind of the most iconic part of the movie, and I think a lot of people, and I think the first time I saw it, I was like, all right, it's like sci-fi bike movie, and then you get that for the first like 10 minutes, and then the rest of it is like weird telekinetic powers of what are these children? What's happening? There's people in the government and all this stuff going on, and it's like not, and then there's basically no bikes. Like he's on
Yeah.
the bike at the end, but I was expecting a lot of bikes and ended up getting a lot less than I expected the first
That's
time.
and so maybe part of it is also just like the fact that there's a lot of, images online and like bits and pieces online and stuff that I think I expected more of like that techno stuff, right? More of
Hmm.
the the testing and the nuclear stuff and their testing on people and all that. Like I was expecting that, not more of it, I guess. There was a lot of it, but and so I was surprised we didn't just kind of jump into it, I guess. But I mean the
No,
bike race was cool, but
that makes sense. I just think the maybe the most iconic part from the movie, like in pop culture, is like the bike slide, the Akira slide, like when they're in the chase at the end and he slides on the side like that.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, this is just like what an incredible like introduction to the city, and they're at the seedy dive bar, and the clown gang that they're rivals with, and just an awe. The light following them on the bikes is so iconic, and the chase is just so cool.
Yeah, totally. I think the introduction to the city particularly was really, I think that was a really good benefit to this scene. You get it just throws because you learn that it's called, it's 2019 and it's Neo Tokyo, and then you start to actually see what all that means, right? Like, I
Yeah,
think that's one thing that sometimes sci-fi won't give you right away is like, okay, we're in the year 2026. That's actually this year, and I have no idea what this world actually looks like, right? And
Hmm.
so even though this is set 7 years ago, um it shows us it's like don't be confused, here is everything, yeah, here is what the city looks like today. So I think that was
Yeah.
a really good choice.
Yeah, definitely. And I just love I mean, this is all hand-drawn animation, and the level of detail is like insane. Like all the buildings and the cityscapes and like it's just incredible at the animation. So yeah, that would also be benefited probably from watching the dub where you can just focus only on the visuals or
Totally.
more on the visuals.
Totally. Yeah, and watching the whole thing on Crunch.
Yeah, that would have been helpful. That would have been helpful if you didn't cancel your Crunchyroll halfway through the movie. That would have been helpful.
Uh,
Uh, yeah, and this is sort of the introduction to the little to 26. I forget he has a name, but I forget it off the top of my head. I think it's like uh, Kat, oh man, I can't remember. It doesn't matter. He's number 26.
yeah.
And there's a guy running with him, and they're getting chased, and the guy gets shot brutally, executed by the police, and that sort of also sets the stage for this like political tension with this sort of fascist police state and these radical terrorist, revolutionaries groups, which is kind of ongoing in the background. And obviously, like when Kay gets involved, it connects in. But yeah, this little kid, you're like, why is he blue? What is up with this kid? He's a little kid, but he looks kind of old. He's all wrinkled, and then Tetsuo hits him, and there's the explosion, and that is sort of the inciting incident. But I just think this chase scene is like an awesome way to introduce you to the world, and it's just an exciting scene.
Yeah, yeah, and totally, and to get you wondering, right? Like, there's a lot of questions that come up in this, right? That
Yeah,
you're not going to get answers for a while, right? Like, also, like, why is 26 running away from the government, right? Like,
yeah,
was he a government creation? Was he like at first I was like, is this an alien, right? Like, I don't know. Like, there's all sorts of things that you can be thinking of here, and I think it does a good job at like setting that sort of you know that those questions up to be answered not too long later, which is nice too.
yeah, yep. And yeah, I mean, I have so many notes that it's kind of impossible for me to go through all these. But also at the beginning, like we see Tetsuo like hammer a guy in the head, I think.
Yeah,
And so it's a little interesting. And also at the beginning, before the actual chase, like he wants to ride Kaneda's bike and he can't. Like he won't let him. He's like, nah, nah, you can't do that. He kind of little brothers him a little bit, like kind of treats him like, you can't do that. Like, and I think that kind of sets up everything about Tetsuo's character of having that sort of, I don't know if it's a Napoleon complex, like always feeling like he's being bullied and taken or not taken seriously. And then once he gets power, he obviously, he kind of
he
flips a
uses it.
switch.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Uh, but yeah, that's kind of that sums up his character of being the person who is bullied and has no power. And then also in the world, like it's a very violent society with the
yeah.
with the clash between police and the revolutionaries, and it's all based in violence. Like there's basically a suicide bomber and the police are murdering people. uh
And the
they
military's in on it. Like the military will, they arrest these guys. Although I guess that might have just been because of 4026 or whatever.
right,
But I think at one point they say something like the military, the army is going along with the police or something. Because there's a lot of
yeah,
people arrested by the military when they get there.
yes, and they're using it to like keep track of them or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
They're like keeping track of all the revolutionary groups. um but yeah, like I don't know. But yeah, that's the
yeah,
beginning of the movie, and I think it sets it up very nicely.
yeah. And then Tetsuo ends up at the hospital. Everyone else is arrested. They get released.
Yeah, it's
Tetsuo,
like in the military like
yeah,
science center almost.
yeah. I guess they tell them that it's the hospital, but yeah,
Right.
they don't really get to see
And
Tetsuo again for a while.
no, he's in that machine
Right.
where the it's like some future MRI machine or something like that. I don't well, whatever, like some nuclear MRI machine type thing. But that also is referenced in the song Stronger by Kanye West. In the music video, that scene is referenced throughout the video.
Interesting.
There you go. And Akira is one of Kanye's favorite movies. So
Interesting.
there you go. So just more of the influence of Akira in culture there. But yeah, and this is they're sort of testing him, and they, are worried about how powerful he could be.
Yeah, and I think they even say like the government at one point, like the like commander or whatever, is like, we gotta kill this guy. He might be. I think he says something like he might be I don't want him to be as strong as Akira or something and not be able to control him, right?
Yeah,
And so it sets up more questions, right? Lots of questions here of like, who is Akira? Um, you know, what have they been doing to people and trying to control them? Like, why are they doing this to people? All this stuff. Um,
yeah,
and also at this point, I was certainly wondering, like, 26 also a product of this, right? And we learned pretty quickly that he is, right? But yeah, fucked up.
yeah. And also like the scientist is a big factor. Almost he reminded me of Oppenheimer, in that he's sort of the this scientist that will not necessarily the movie, but he's sort
Yeah.
of a real life, nuclear scientist who will do anything and risk anything at the cost of gaining more knowledge, no matter what the risk is. And the Colonel, is kind of an interesting character in that I feel like at the beginning you're kind of like, I shouldn't trust this guy. This guy's gonna be a bad guy. And by the end, he's kind of a good guy, just trying to save people. He's trying to stop another nuclear, uh, you know, destruction and millions of people dying. And
Yeah, but
yeah,
he started it.
he started it.
I mean, he made Tetsuo, right? He and the
The
scientist,
Colonel.
like, yeah, the government, right? Yeah, I mean,
I
he's he's
I
he
guess
captured them. He gave him to the scientist.
I guess, but I don't think he's like he didn't start the program.
Yeah, but he's certainly a big part of like, I mean, his job is really to
It's kind of to keep it all like secret, keep it under wraps. Yeah.
yeah, right. And like, this guy is part, this test subject from the program gets out, and now it's like, this guy, yeah, I mean, he's trying to stop a nuclear thing, but he's also just trying to contain the fucking program that he's supposed to contain, right? Like,
Right.
um, not to
But
say like, yeah, not to like,
the cost of not containing it is like kind of what happens, and then potentially like nuclear, and
yes,
even
yeah,
at the end, the kids kind of like the Colonel and they save him at the end. When the kids, they also save kind of, well, I guess they save everything at the end, sort of, not really.
yeah, that was confusing, but yeah, I do see what you're saying. I don't think I ever sympathized or empathized at all with the Colonel. Even at the end, I was like, yeah, this guy, like, I don't know, I was kind of like, yeah, dude, you fucked up. You're not, you, like, I don't know. It's like if afterward Oppenheimer was like, I don't think we should be using these.
Well,
Oh
but
wait,
he's,
that's what happened.
well, he
You know,
didn't create it though. You know what I mean?
no, I know, but well, it's like the U.S. government being like, hey, guys, we gotta control this nuclear weapon stuff. It's like, dude, you literally made
Well,
nuclear, like,
but also this guy wasn't there when it was created. You know what I mean? He's just a guy, one single guy.
I mean, he was
I
there
think
right after.
he,
Isn't he the guy
and he
that gave the
said
order to kill him,
to kill Tetsuo.
Tetsuo?
Well, I think he wants to. He's like, if I don't kill him, he's gonna millions of people are gonna die.
Yeah, he was like, but that was like right after Tetsuo was tested on, right?
Yeah, but wouldn't it have been better if they did kill Tetsuo?
I would have been better if they never fucking human experimented on him.
Well, yeah, but he wasn't there at that time.
Uh,
They
I,
like you can't just say this guy represents the entire program. You know what I mean? He's just one guy trying his best, I think.
he's a military colonel. He certainly has. I don't know. I think that I do see what you're saying. I think that he's obviously not as culpable as the scientist, but I mean, I don't have any sympathy for this like tyrannical authoritarian. He kills the government, or he like kills the
Well,
guy that the government sends.
they're tyrannical. He's the one who says it was the quote about how we and I think there is debate here. And obviously, it's gray area, but about how he shouldn't let. I mean, he does start a coup, but these are also like he says something about not letting not being run by corrupt capitalists. I forget the exact
Yeah,
quote because I wrote it down.
but when he said that, my mind was like, that is what any military coup person is gonna say.
Yeah, he says we can't dance to the tune of corrupt politicians and capitalists.
And that just sounds to me like some guy taking control. They're gonna say whatever. They're gonna like he's killing people.
Right, but are his actions, is he trying to prevent more deaths? You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, I do see what you're saying, but I think he's in too deep on
And
this program. I can't give
and
him any leeway.
and then we do see the one of the basically corrupt capitalists or politicians. He's a rich guy with a bunch of money who's trying to escape at the end. We see him, and I think he's at that sort of board meeting that the colonel is
Mhm.
also at. He is funding the revolutionary groups, I think, or he's funding because Ryu,
I Yeah, I do
he's
kind of remember this, but I don't know if I really understood what happened.
I know this is like kind of complicated, but like the I think he was uh paying Ryu to try to help the little kids escape, maybe, or try to, and that's why they were running away with him or something like that. But he was paying them or something.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm
It's
sure you're
very
right.
complicated.
Yeah,
It
you,
is very complicated.
I would believe you. Honestly, and that was like in the end, it was like mixed in at the end somewhere, and I was pretty
Yeah,
confused. But
yeah.
yeah, I do see what you're saying, and I do think that like I'm being a little devil's advocate here, but I also do really think that like this guy, I think that it's hard for me to give this guy credit of being like, dude, you saved the day when like he was a part of the
Uh,
machine that made the issue.
well, I mean, I guess that's fair, but I think he seems like he's going to be a villain at the beginning, and it's a lot more gray by the end.
Yeah,
And
I do agree.
obviously,
It's more gray.
yeah, and a lot of the actions also like the police as opposed to the military that he's in charge of. Like the police are doing a lot of the uh are being more authoritarian, and he's sort of like just trying to control this thing. And it's like, how else are you supposed to control this?
Yeah. Well, you kill the
I don't
scientist,
know.
maybe.
I guess. I mean, well, geez, it seems like you should love the colonel.
If I mean,
It
if he shot the scientist when the scientist was like, Tetsuo's got too much power. If he just pulled out a gun, shot the guy, and went over and killed Tetsuo, I would be a little more on his side, to be honest. I don't. That would have been ruthless, but like, I, I dude, you didn't help. Like, the scientist is still around. Oh, I guess. Wait, doesn't he kill the scientist? I forget.
Scientist dies, but I don't think he kills him.
Yeah, I think I would have even if at the end, and he might honestly he might have, so I could totally be messing up here. But if at the end he kills the scientist, I'd be a little more on his side because then I'm okay. He actually does understand kind of the that he was a part of this machine and he had to end the machine, right? It's not about ending Tetsuo, it's about ending the machine that's doing this shit.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I do see what you're saying too with like the coup. Like he is maybe trying to, and like how can you make a difference here, right? So he's maybe trying to, but I will say certainly watching it, at least from what I was able to grasp while watching it, I was not really on his side even at the end. But
that's fair. That's fair. And I don't think I'm like, oh, he's a hero, but I think it's more complicated than it seems at the beginning because
yeah,
he's kind of just,
yeah,
I feel like in most stories, it's like military guy, straight laced, not funny, like he's going to be a villain.
yeah, totally. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think it's definitely more gray at the end, and
And like,
yeah,
yeah, and Tetsuo is one of our main characters, and he really becomes the main antagonist of the movie, which is kind of an interesting like structural thing. I don't know that it was as common
right,
like at this time.
right.
Like I said, obviously now it's like Chronicle has done this, but I don't know. I mean, there are movies with it where like a villainous protagonist, there's like a Clockwork Orange, but
Wait, those guys
yeah,
are the bad guys?
yeah, the Droogs not very chill. Yeah.
I was
Uh,
rooting for them.
uh, I do love a lot of the like surreal scenes too, where like Tetsuo is dreaming about him and Kaneda as kids, and you learn about like his backstory and how he was kind of like alone and bullied as a kid, and then there's Kaneda, and then everything starts crumbling, which is just the visuals in this movie are just incredible. And then also like the baby the toys that sort of like the
Yeah. Oh
That whole
yeah.
scene. Yeah.
I loved that. That was like I was like I don't know what the hell's happening, but I'm in. And I still don't think I actually fully understand. So the kids were manipulating his brain, right? They weren't actually they didn't make the wall Lego and make the toys big.
Right. I believe it was sort of, I'm just gonna say they have telekinetic powers.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I know. But they
Yeah.
can like speak to people telekinetically. They can control people's
Right. Right.
minds. They can read. I think they can read people's minds. So yeah, I think they're just controlling what he's seeing and controlling his mind in some way.
Yeah, that was cool. Although I don't understand why. Like, why were they doing that?
I think they were trying to get him to like be chill.
That was terrifying. That was insane.
Yeah, I couldn't give you an answer to all of it.
Yeah. I mean, I liked
Everything
it.
like that.
That scene was awesome.
Yeah.
Visually, very cool. And also just in my horror mindset, I'm like, that was sick. But I'm like,
Yeah.
if I'm Tetsuo waking up, I think his response, honestly, a little mellow.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. That's fair. The Yeah, there is like a lot of horror elements to the movie, especially by the end. There's like body
Yeah.
horror and a lot of crazy stuff going on.
Awesome body horror at the end. That
Yeah.
that shit was crazy.
Yeah, I figured you would enjoy that
Oh
aspect of the
yeah.
movie.
Oh, it's grotesque.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, for real.
awful.
Yeah, it gets pretty insane. Yeah, when he's turning like biological and mechanical and, and turning into that giant whatever that thing is. Yeah,
Yeah.
giant
Also,
baby organism thing.
they store Akira. We learn at one point they store Akira in 0 Kelvin, at absolute zero. But the subtitles called it 0 degrees Kelvin. And I'm
Mm,
curious if this is a translation thing or a script thing, because in temperature we call like measurements of Kelvin. We just call it Kelvin. Like Kelvin is the unit, not degrees. And
yeah,
so I'm curious if the translation, if it's like they say 0 Kelvin and then the translation's like, it's a temperature, 0 degrees Kelvin, right?
right.
Or if like, not that it matters. I'm just curious because I thought I saw that and I was like, it's interesting because it is translated, right? So I'm like, is this a translation thing or a script thing? Not that it matters either way, but it's just one of those things where I was like,
Yeah.
that's curious.
How many degrees is 0 Kelvin?
Negative 273.75.13 degrees Celsius, which is,
Wow.
I want to say, in like the negative 600 ish Fahrenheit.
That is very cold.
It's the coldest possible theoretical temperature. It's not possible.
Well, now you've confused me.
It's the coldest possible thing. You can't get any cold. 0 Kelvin means that at the atomic level, nothing's moving. You've
Oh.
frozen even atoms in place. But there's the third law of thermodynamics. I'm gonna go all nerd here. Third law of thermodynamics says you actually can never reach 0 Kelvin. It's only a theoretical thing. You can get really, really close. You can get like really, really, really close, but you can never get to frozen atomic structures.
Interesting. All
So
right. The more you know.
yeah, not that. And again, I wasn't like, I'm not saying that this was silly for using. I think like zero people will say 0 Kelvin when they mean like 0 point a hundred trillionth of a Kelvin, right? But
Yeah.
um, but I was curious just because of the translation factor here that I was curious if they actually said degrees Kelvin or not.
Yeah.
Not that it matters at all, but just my nerd ass brain was like, huh.
I get you. I get you. Yeah.
um,
And then this is like when we start seeing his telekinetic powers and he starts
yes.
killing people with he's crushing things. He's like taking, I don't even know how to describe it, sucking stuff out of one area and then re-putting it somewhere else and crushing people or whatever's going on. It's pretty crazy. And it's like you just kind of go, well, he has telekinetic powers. I don't really know what's going on, but that's cool.
Yeah. It's funny because even the scale of it all, it's kind of like, yeah, did people just die? Like, like I'm like, he totally just crushed a lot of people right there, right? And then I'm like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, okay. Because at times I was like a little confused on if, yeah, I don't know. I was just a little confused at times on what exactly was happening, but it was pretty clear that he was definitely killing people,
Oh
and
yeah, definitely.
that was the big thing. So,
Oh yeah, he kills a lot of people.
yeah, big
Yeah.
body count on this
And
guy.
he yeah, it's definitely like he doesn't know even what his powers are. I don't think I don't know what he's how much he's in control of what's going on, but it definitely seems like he's not sad about the fact that he's killing all these people. He's kind of relishing in the power.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty speaking of like the horror elements, it's not really horror, I guess, but certainly the seeing somebody kind of descent to the level where they just don't give a shit, right? They're just flailing dead bodies around, right? Is pretty awful, and so I think even if it's not true horror, there's definitely horror elements throughout the movie.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like I think this was especially maybe shocking to people like in America in the 80s and 90s when in the US, even like today, I think a lot of people think of animation as being for kids. And
Mm.
this is obviously not for kids at all. Like this is rated R. You can't show this to your kids. And I feel like that's part of the reason it was like a cult classic and that some people still have that mentality of like animation is only for kids, which is obviously a silly, like closed-minded way of looking at things. But yeah, this probably helped like uh decrease that like misconception, I guess. And people were like, oh wow, this is definitely not for kids. This is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is an interesting piece of how that kind of has lived on in the legacy. And like Perfect Blue, right, is quite a bit after this and is also not a kids movie.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
and there's
Yeah.
plenty of examples, right? But that's kind of the next thing that comes to my mind as being
The
a really fucked up animated movie.
Yes, and I think it was more common in Japan where animation was just seen as a medium where you could do all sorts of things with it. And but in America, it's like animation is synonymous with family movies, kind of.
Right.
And I think nowadays I don't know, it's definitely changed, especially with I think of like Creature Commandos. It's like on HBO Max, and it's like an animated superhero show, and it's like, oh, you can show this to your kids, and then no, you cannot. There's sex and blood and murder and violence and all sorts of, rated R things.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure
So
there's examples of like American movies too that are animated that are definitely not for kids. Although I can't think of any like kind of more mainstream ones, but
yeah, maybe independent things for sure.
yeah,
Like, but not like I mean, there's like Watership Down, which is just like that it's sad, but it's not necessarily like it's still intended for all
right.
audiences kind of a thing.
I guess the Ralph Bakshi stuff, right? I mean,
Right.
are those for kids? They don't feel like
No,
they should be for
no,
kids.
no, no, they're not. Fred's the Cat,
Pretty,
no. They're like raunchy
yeah,
comedies.
totally.
But those are also like independently made.
Right. And those are
But
like, yeah,
those became like cult classics too.
yeah,
Even though I
right.
don't think they've aged that well.
Yeah, we didn't like we both watched Wizards
Oh,
at one point for this
yes, we did.
podcast. And we didn't like that one.
Yeah, no. That one was was not great.
Not as
Uh
good as Tetsuo here ripping through the city.
yeah. Yeah, and then we're getting to the good stuff, which is probably when you had to watch your VHS rip.
Yeah, although honestly, here's the thing. There is some level of like uh maybe nostalgia or something, right? Of actually watching VHS quality stuff sometimes where there was definitely moments where I was like, yeah, I do wish I was watching the higher quality, of course. But there was also moments where I was like, honestly, this looks kind of sick. Even like, the visuals weren't as technically impressive the way I was watching it. But there was moments where I was just like, this is fucking cool. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that makes sense. I could see that having a charm to it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like think about like some of the massive destruction that's happened, or the whole honestly, the whole stadium stuff at the end
Yeah.
was pretty awesome on V8. Like, I'm not gonna say that's the ideal way to watch it, obviously, but it was kind of cool. I mean, like, it looked
Nice.
awesome. It was cool. It was fun.
That's good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Um, but yeah, I don't know if we should get into like all the details of everything that goes on, but there's like a lot of cool stuff like Tetsuo. It's cool also when K is also
Mm.
the Kaneda is, trying to basically rescue Tetsuo. That's kind of what he thinks. He's like wants to free him kind of a thing at first. And then Kay is a girl that he likes from like one of the revolutionary groups and he's trying to get her number. And then she ends up getting mind controlled by the kids, which is pretty cool that they can communicate like through her like that. And yeah, there's like scenes where she walks on water and Tetsuo walks on water and they're using their telekinetic abilities. Tetsuo floating up to space, into outer space. Incredible.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, there's a lot that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
insane. He's like sending lasers down and destroy like from space.
Yeah. And actually it was interesting because they actually did, they used that soul weapon on him and they actually got rid of his arm. And I was like,
Yeah.
they have a chance. And then he goes up there and and oh my God, he destroys more of the city with their own soul laser, right? Which another, I think a lot of the commentary in this movie is about, making weapons you can't control, right?
Yes.
Obviously the people, right? Like Tetsuo and Akira and all the kids and all that stuff, right? But also the that soul weapon, I think this is like a little mini allegory among the big allegory of like, yeah, they're trying to use this weapon to kill the guy. What happens if the guy takes the weapon? It
Yeah.
doesn't go well. Like,
Exactly. And this is like Akira is obviously a very much reflecting on World War II and the nuclear bombs dropped in Japan and the ramifications of that and the horrors of that. And that's like the big thematic concern here of like, yeah, like you said, making these weapons that we really can't control and we shouldn't make, but
right.
people make them and then horrible things happen. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too about like, yeah, like that we can't control, but also, and this was kind of to my point earlier of like, man, just like fuck these guys that are just like testing on humans and stuff and making these giant weapons. Like, yeah, we like this, like World War III happened in this 31 years before this movie, the timeline of this movie, right? And like, it's like 30, okay, 30, it's been 30 years. We might as well make new giant weapons we can't control. Like, what is wrong with humanity? Like that's insane.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
But also
look
it's
at,
like
I
it's
mean,
like
hey,
somehow realistic. Like I could believe it.
oh, 100%. Look at us right now. We were in Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years. It was a complete failure, waste of money for everyone except for the people who profited from it. And now we're like, oh, yeah, let's just do it again. Yeah, we'll do it again in Iran and we'll destroy our economy and we'll murder a bunch of innocent people. And only the elites, certain elites, will benefit from this and everyone else will suffer. And it just will happen over and over again. Not to be a doomer about it, but yeah, it's not surprising to me that people in power would do horrific things with
Yeah.
with weapons of mass
Yeah.
destruction.
Yeah. And I can the more that we're talking about it, the more I can kind of see your point about the sergeant or whatever, the
Colonel.
general colonel, right? With it's like the people that like, yeah, I can kind of like the more we're talking about it, I can see your point a little bit more about like he is actually trying to stop this towards the end, and there's something to be said about that, even if I mean, well, yeah, I don't know, like how much was he really involved in all of it before? I don't know, but
Yeah, and I think I don't know if this is a like how much this is in the movie or not. But I feel like there's an element of like the kids being more pure than like Tetsuo. And so they have this power, but because they're kids, which I don't know how accurate to real life it is necessarily, but because they're kids, they don't have those same like desire to destroy and get revenge and like have all that power. So they're the only people that can kind of have this power safely in a way. And then as soon as it gets into the wrong hands, then you know, uh, mass destruction happens. But I feel like there's that element of like them genuinely wanting to do the right thing. Like the kids really have no desire to like for power or for anything bad. You really just feel bad for them of like they're stuck in this thing. They kind of look old from like their medication, I think, or something. So yeah, they're really more victims than anything else.
Yeah, they them I definitely felt bad. Like I thought they were on our side, you know.
Yeah,
Certainly towards the end. I mean, uh,
yeah. But yeah, also it is awesome when he telekinetically creates the new robotic arm.
yeah. Also,
Incredible.
the consequence of that was awesome too. The like it's not really it. I don't know if that's actually why, but like the there's this really cool scene where the mechanics of the arm are actually like latched. They latch on to the chair that the throne that he sat on,
Yeah,
and that's really when the body horror really starts in a few minutes, right? Like that's the build up to it, and
yeah,
yeah, crazy. Oh man,
yeah. That is
uh,
incredible.
yeah, that pretty much from there to the end, I was 1,000% in on everything that this was doing, other than understanding. Like the plot was out the window. I had no fucking clue, but
Yeah,
every single visual thing, every single like unique horror element that they had, and unique body twisting, and also like the way that the colonel tried to shoot him, and just everything that happened here again, other than plot. I was so into
yeah. I agree. I'm glad you enjoyed it. But yeah, this is just such an awesome sequence. Just the
yeah,
visuals of the creativity of it is pretty amazing.
totally. And then there is the plot.
Yes, there's sort of Akira is created or brought back to life,
Hmm.
and they get there's this almost white, it's like a black hole, but it's white light, and it's sucking everything in from the city. And that's when the kids like teleport the colonel away to like save him. And yeah, they're you're seeing like memories, and they're getting sucked in, and the kids go in to save Kaneda, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think also part of it maybe is that I was just so into the visuals that I also had stopped reading as much of the subtitles, and maybe was just kind of there for it. And as a result, like I could understand that they were trying to save um that they saved the colonel and they were going to save Canada, but I was still just a bit lost in everything that was happening.
Yeah.
But
And then the
yeah,
ball like shrinks into
yes,
nothingness. And I think it's like some new universe or they dimension. They're in a different dimension or a different universe now. They've transcended into some other dimension.
okay. I can
That's what I think happens.
yeah. Hey, I have no idea.
That's
I could
fair.
believe it. I think, yeah. I mean, I guess when that happened in the moment when I was watching it, I was kind of just like, oh, they fixed it. Uh, like, yeah. I guess the how or the what really happened was totally just I couldn't even like try to process what could have
Mm,
like I don't know, which wasn't really a like it's not like that's really a problem. Like they don't need to explain it in my mind. Like,
yeah.
but
It's
yeah, I was like, cool, it's over.
yeah, that makes sense. It's very ambiguous. The ending of this does kind of, in a way, remind me of the ending of 2001, to where
Mm,
it's just so ambiguous and like out there that it's kind of like you can interpret it how you want a little bit.
yeah, I could see that.
And like they're
Yeah.
going into the white light, and it's the surreal psychedelic almost thing, sort of like going through the wormhole or whatever it is in 2001. Um, But yeah, that's what I think happens. I think they like transcend into another dimension or something. Because then at the end, there's the last lines is "I am Tetsuo," and then end credits, movie over. So he's still like alive somewhere, but he's not in our world anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That is funny. I like the comparison to 2001. I think it also the comparison to 2001 kind of makes me like this even more. And like not that you compare something to 2001 and I'm in, but like also I do actually like I see what you're saying with the ending kind of being um ambiguous because part of me like kind of coming right out of it, part of me was like, okay, cool. I totally missed something, but I'm okay. Like it was cool, you know.
yeah,
But I like understanding maybe a little bit more that it's actually maybe the I didn't actually maybe necessarily miss anything. That was just there is this ambiguous like what you're not supposed to really know exactly what happened, right? Um,
yeah.
and I think I like
And
that for myself better than me missing something amongst all the chaos. Like I don't think it would be unreasonable to miss something in this movie. I'm
no,
sure I missed many things, but yeah,
yeah, that definitely makes sense. And there's a also like I believe the movie came out before the manga was finished. So the
right.
manga I think has a bit of a different ending. So I don't know really even what that is. So I've only ever seen the movie. I should probably read the manga at some point. But but yeah, so maybe there is a little bit more explanation and clarity in the manga. But yeah, I just think it's pretty awesome. I will say like this is my third time seeing it now, and I do think it gets better on each viewing. And the first time I'll just say now, this is a 5-star movie for me. Love it. I think it's just the animation and also the music. We haven't mentioned the music at all, but the music is really great. Like in several sequences, there's like pretty incredible music behind everything. Um, but just the visuals of it and everything. And I just love that. Like this is the exact opposite of found footage horror. This is 100, like I'm 100% biased toward a cyberpunk city with like
Yeah,
it's kind of dirty and the government's corrupt, but then there's this like underground like the game Cyberpunk 2077, like Blade Runner, stuff like that. I'm like, this is my favorite type of just like subgenre. So this one, I just love like you can put it on and just like watch it and not even worry about the specifics of the plot. And I'm just like, oh, this is incredible. So this is a 5-star movie for me, but I think the first time I saw it, I might have given it like 4 stars because again, I was very like confused by a lot of it. And I think on rewatches, I think I maybe understand it a little better, but also I'm able to kind of let go and be like, it's okay that I don't understand all of it, and I still really love all these other aspects.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, I think me leaving it my first time, I've been a little bit confused on how to rate it. Kind of going into this, I was like, I could see anything from 4 to maybe like 3.5 to 4.5 was like the range I was thinking. But I think that it's interesting. I really like. I think 5-star for me the first time around was not this. Like I was not gonna. I could not have done that this time around for this. I think there are parts. I do think it feels a little long, and I'm a little confused on like just a lot, a lot of stuff. And so I knew like 5 wasn't going to be it for me this time around, but it is also one where I'm like, again, like yes, this is a movie that I would love to rewatch and and hopefully get even more out of. And um, but yeah, so I think this one for me does land at 4 stars. So um, just like maybe your first time watching it,
Nice.
although I think yeah, definitely like glad that this is like exactly your type of film to go with the my type of film for the cult.
Yeah,
It's
there you
it's
go.
nice that we were able to. I mean, cult classic is such a broad category. We can really pick
Yeah,
really whatever we want.
exactly. We could pick the things that we are cult
Yeah,
involved in the culture. I guess. So we like that culture, that subculture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, is there anything else we should talk about? It's a little hard to talk about the movie just because the plot is so convoluted and confusing.
Yeah.
But I think we talked mostly about the visuals, the color, the music, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. The themes a little bit too and everything. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think, well, I can give the quick rating recap. Um, and we can grab our next episode
Yeah.
after this. So, our rating recap here, we've got a 4.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Whew, wow. 91% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, 90% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and an 8 out of 10 on IMDb. So this is a this movie's
High ratings across the board.
high ratings across the board. It um let me just see. I don't think this quite makes our list of like one of the highest rated, but the
Hmm.
rating recap here comes in at 8 point 8.7 out of 10.
Oof.
Uh
That's very high.
which
That's got to be one of our highest. Oh, I don't know.
it's our
It's up there.
14th highest. So I mean
All
it's in the
right.
top 15. We've done a lot of movies at this point. So
Yeah, that's true. We've covered over you can see on our letterboxed if you go to my letterboxed, which if you just do S Barlow 3, I think that's my like username. I have the list of all the movies we've covered. I think it's like 114 movies, 115 movies.
yeah, yeah, it's a lot. So
Yeah, that's pretty good.
this being number 14, it's in the top 15 of our, it's the top
Yeah.
one,
And
a little bit under
and
1%.
and this one like I wasn't sure if it like had transcended cult classic status just because I think anime has become so popular with our generation and the we're I guess we're like cusp like Gen Z, we're like old Gen Z, but with like anyone younger than us, uh, they're anime is super popular. So I feel like it's just become a classic, but it really is a huge part of the reason why it became so popular. Obviously, this predates like think like Dragon Ball, Pokemon, all the most popular Western anime, Ghost in the Shell, stuff like that. So I think its influence and gaining the cult classic status was part of the process to make anime pretty much mainstream at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's and that makes it a really great choice for the cult classic, right? Like
I
um
agree. It was a fantastic choice. I'll pat myself on the back. Yeah, yeah. I'm very humble. Yeah.
good job. This guy, good job. Um
But
yeah.
but I think your movie like fits more of like a current cult classic status to where it's a small devoted like fan base kind of and like Akira kind of started like that and grew beyond
Yeah.
that maybe.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, we have essentially two different takes, right? I mean, Akira has, 20 years on
Right.
Lake Mungo, right? So I don't really think that in 20 years Lake Mungo will be as culturally significant as Akira is today necessarily, but yeah, I mean that is an important factor here, right? Is
Yeah.
time. And often,
And
cult followings might grow and expand and the influence spreads, right? So
yeah, definitely. And like horror kind of has inherently a more limited audience, I think, because I think there are a lot of people who just aren't into horror movies at all. So that cuts off a kind of a section of the audience.
yeah. And right, like and if you think about Lake Mungo today, its influence in contemporary horror is actually really widespread, not
Yeah.
all encompassing necessarily, but yeah, like in 20 years maybe it will be even more unanimous, right? I mean, I think grief horror is actually really in right now, right? Kind of
Oh.
a funny thing to say, but yeah,
It's very everything. A lot of horror movies are about trauma or grief.
yeah, right. Like that's that's
Yeah,
that's today, right? Like, in the 70s and the 80s, right? A lot were about like, kids and pregnancy and stuff like that. And then you have slashers and stuff like that in the 90s and knots and everything. And but I think like today we really are in this period of, I think a lot of even elevated horror comes into like social commentary horror or grief or trauma. Like those are like the three big things right now, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely makes sense. All right, should we get
I think
into? All right. So next week, just so everyone knows, we're gonna be having a for our half episode, we'll be have a review of the new horror movie Obsession, directed by Curry Barker, I think is the guy's name, who started as a YouTuber and now he's direct. This is his first like theatrical feature length horror movie, even though he had one like hour long horror movie on YouTube before this. Um, but yeah, the trailers are out. You know, it looks cool. I think it's getting good reviews, so we're excited for it. We'll cover it next week, and the week after that, we'll have a new topic. It'll come out of this cup. If you're on YouTube, you can see that I have a cup. I will pick the topic right now. Here we go. We have so many topics in here. It could be anything. And perfect timing in anticipation of The Odyssey, Christopher Nolan.
Oh shoot! Oh
Yeah,
wait,
perfect
that's awesome.
timing.
Okay,
Yep.
well, we got to discuss this off air at some point, but there, I I'm just gonna say we have talked a lot about doing a specific trilogy of Nolan's. I don't know if we want to do that. We could, or we
Right.
can obviously both pick. I think if we're gonna pick
Mm,
something, maybe we don't pick that trilogy because we talked so much about
right.
doing it potentially. So
Right. That could be a good like half episode at some point would be the whole Nolan Batman trilogy, and then we could cover two different Nolan. Then we cover a total of six Nolan movies eventually, because we've already done
right,
Insomnia for our remakes episode a few, you know, well, last
yeah,
year or something.
yeah,
Um,
so I mean, we can talk more about it, and
yeah.
and
Oh
the
wait,
thing is,
also we've covered Tenet.
right.
Oh my
See,
gosh, we're
we've
gonna
covered
like
so much.
complete the Christopher Nolan filmography eventually.
Wow.
Interesting.
So the thing
Cool.
is, we will announce that next episode. So,
Yes.
if you're interested in Obsession, you're going to see it. Great, go ahead. But I think we should probably do that reveal at the beginning of the episode. So if you aren't planning on seeing Obsession or anything, you can
Yeah.
just pop in for a minute and see what we'll be watching that week.
Yeah.
Join us.
Yes. Good idea. We'll do it at the beginning of next week's episode. And yeah, also just stay tuned on Letterbox. You can go to Mind Your Movies, all one word. You should be able to find our Letterboxd account. And in the bio there, both my account and Ryan's are linked. So you can follow us there. And I do, like I said, it's pinned on my account, the Mind Your Movies list, and I usually update it a little before the episode comes out. So if you want the insider info, that's where to get it. So yeah, you can follow us there. You can follow us. Give us a like on YouTube. Oh, something you can do on YouTube, I think, is hyping something. I
Oh,
don't know
interesting.
exactly what it means. I think it's free. I think you just press a button and it just does it. It's kind of like liking the video, and try it out if you don't know
That's
what that is.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah. And we're on the podcast apps. You can give us 5 stars. We'd appreciate it. It helps us out
Yeah,
a
we
lot,
appreciate
actually.
all of you, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
so we're happy
Anyone
you're
just
here.
listening to us yap about Lakira Mungo for this whole episode, we appreciate it very much.
Yeah, two very
Uh,
different movies. So, if
yeah.
you're in for the long run, you're awesome.
Yeah, that's a wide, like, yeah, very, very different movies, but cool. And for the Christopher Nolan one, it's like, well, pretty much all of his movies are so popular that most people have probably seen them. If you're listening to this movie podcast, you probably have seen a lot of Christopher Nolan movies. So, all right, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I don't know what to pick, but
Yeah, we might have to talk to because it's actually a fairly limited pool, especially
it is.
if we're
Yeah,
excluding. Obviously, we've already covered a few and the trilogy. So, but
yeah,
we'll regroup and
we
discuss.
will. And if you've seen Inception and you haven't seen Paprika, the anime by Satoshi Kon, you should watch Paprika because heavy inspiration on Inception. To you, but also to the listeners.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
But yeah, so I think that's it. Thank you for listening and watching. We appreciate it very much. Don't forget to mind your movies.